Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Rewatch. I am Nick. Joining me is Fire Nation sympathizer Jared. How you doing?
Or I suppose, in light of this episode's subject matter, you should call me actual Florida man.
What really hurts is you're not wrong.
Yeah, I know, because it's like when I was watching this episode, a lot of this stuff with the beach, I'm like, that's accurate.
Yeah, so basically, what we have here is your standard anime beach episode. But it's not really that standard, because it's like, I don't know if you knew where this year, but there's kind of a trope among anime fans, like the beach episode. It's like it's a type of filler episode to where it's an excuse to get the characters in skimpy kind of bathing suits and whatnot.
Yep.
And yeah, they did it on both ends. But the thing I really like about this episode is it pushes forward the characters a lot.
Oh yeah, particularly the Fire Nation Quadruo, as I call them.
Quadruo, and we learn a lot about Azula. I think this episode is very much often cited as it humanizes Azula in a way we haven't seen, and I gotta be honest, we don't really get to see it again, like the way Azula is humanized.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, you haven't seen the rest of the series, but So what are kind of your initial thoughts of this episode?
Well, this episode was also very much like it had the trope of, oh, let's go to a party. Oh no, we're going to have drama that's going to lead to a breakup, but then we'll get back together. And I'm like, this is the one part where this is one of the times where I actually cringed, because I'm like, I know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I would say they kind of took the framework and then they kind of added their own flair to it. It's like, yes, this is very cliche. This is extremely tropey. But the little flourishes they add to it, the little moments, just make this episode worthwhile, in my opinion.
Still works. The thing about it is that I'm like, so you break them up and then get them right back together in the same episode. I'm like, well, I get why, but it's kind of dumb. Why'd you do it in the first place?
Plot.
I swear, with this relationship, it is the weakest part of the season for a lot of different reasons.
You say that now, but there's a certain moment that might have you questioning things.
Well, first off, I'm just saying structurally, because it showed up out of nowhere, and then now they do the whole... They're becoming that couple that breaks up and gets back together every 30 seconds.
So you're saying that Mai is Amber Heard?
Yeah, kind of. She's a fiery Amber Heard.
So, I know I had shown you, kind of clips of it before, but, now that you had full context for something like the volleyball scene and whatnot, what do you think of that scene?
That was great. I love where they're treating it like an actual war, and she goes, okay, so she has a weak leg. If we hit her from this angle, we'll be able to take her out. And I'm like, jeez.
Well, as this episode clearly states, that's the only mode that Azula can think in. You take her outside of war, if it's capabilities of war, she is a genius. But the thing that this episode does really well is it takes Azula out of her element. It takes her into she's very awkward when it comes to dating and interpersonal stuff. You had that party scene. She gets what is probably her first kiss ever, and she's just we will rule 1,000 dynasty,
Yeah, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Also, Jared, that's a really sharp outfit.
Yeah, I know, and I saw that and I was like, oh god.
It's so sharp it could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands to drown at sea.
I'm surprised
You
he
know.
didn't go. That's very specific knowledge.
But yeah, like that's kind of like one of Azula's more iconic lines. Also, hats off to Grey Deloise. She turned in an
Yep.
amazing performance.
She
in this
nailed
episode.
it in this one. Like, geez.
Like, some of my favorite scenes were the moments that she showed actual care for Zuko. You know, like when she was talking with went to the old house, and he's like, come back to the beach, you know. And like when she was talking about her own mother, and she was like looking down, Grey put on like the way she kind of like lower pitch of voice, and like, you feel bad for Azula.
I also love that line where she goes, "My own mother thought of me as a monster," and she was right, but it was kind of a screwy thing to tell a kid.
I mean, let's be honest, that's just a coping mechanism by Azula. It's
Mhm.
the only way for her to cope with that is like, yeah, I'm a monster. My mom was right to call me a monster. You know, it's like she tries to own it as a because if she doesn't self-identify as a monster, then it can negatively affect it. It's a mental coping mechanism.
Yeah, and this episode did do 100%. I bought the whole humanizing part. Yeah, it's just again, the weakest part of this episode was that whole relationship drama, because I've seen it 80 times in any show.
Fair enough. What did you think about the stuff with Tyleek? Is like that stuff is kind of hitting on modern politics a little bit.
What, in what way?
Ty Lee and like how she lures in guys, like, you know. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, one of the voice actors was famous.
One of them, he sounded familiar. Do you want to tell me who he is?
Titans, go!
Oh, Robin?
Yeah, Scott Melville.
Oh.
He was one of Ty Lee's admirers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see him here in the trivia.
I'm sorry, I recognize Scott Melville's voice.
You always do that. That's part of the whole thing.
I'm a fan. What can I say?
I like that. That's cool.
Oh, just wait till I meet Yuri Lowenthal. Oh my god, I'm gonna be freaking out.
You need to take a video of you and him side by side doing the Bully Maguire dance.
Now I'm gonna do that.
You need to do that.
But like, okay, well, that's the whole entire conversation. We talk about someone else, but like, well, the stuff with Ty Lee, you know, where it's like he was kind of using the guys and how it kind of came to bite her in the butt. What did you think about how I think they handled that pretty well, honestly?
Yeah, because I mean, really more in terms of what I like, what I noticed with Ty Lee is that she seems throughout this entire series, and you know me, I'm the comics lord. I like to apply my own knowledge to this to kind of, I mean, she's kind of reminding me a lot of Harley Quinn, and now this is like one of those moments where you find out she actually is a human being.
Yeah, Ty Lee, like Harley Quinn, is a character that is a lot smarter than you think, or even that she lets on.
And it's like even that whole fire pit conversation the four of them have, where it's like everyone's unloading their emotional baggage, because again, tropey as hell episode. But
that is like, honestly, that scene is probably one of the best scenes in the entire show. Like I am not lying. In my opinion, that beach scene is, because it is we haven't even talked about Zuko's character moment there. Like that is a huge character moment for Zuko right there.
True. I'm just saying, at least to me, it kind of is buried because the rest of the episode is like supremely tropey. So I'm like, okay, another tropey scene in a very tropey episode.
Yeah, but like what I like is they take the tropes, and then they kind of like do their own spin on it. So yeah, it's tropey, but they kind of played out in an original way. Yeah, like with the Ty Lee stuff. You know, like when Azula said, like, "Oh, you make it too easy for him," you know, blah blah blah. Like she wasn't wrong, but she was like very blunt and hurtful with her words. And they talk about how also like, you know, Mai even calls Ty Lee out. It's like, you want attention because you were starved as a kid and whatnot, and just it makes sense. What I love is Mai was the most subtle with how she revealed her stuff. Like, she talked about it, but she didn't like let on that she was, it's like, we weren't paying attention. It's really interesting because it really humanizes that whole people. And
It does.
And we haven't even gotten to like the big explosive moment with Zuko, because Zuko,
That was good.
This whole entire time he's been coming back to the Fire Nation. All right, and he's been having doubts. This is where all the doubts come to a head. Where he fully realizes he's mad at himself. And I'm just telling you, Jared, the real stuff has not even begun yet. Like, there are some great moments up ahead.
That was the good part about that whole fire scene, because I was like, okay, that makes sense. Based upon how he's acted, particularly this season, he's just angry at himself. I 100% get it.
I really like shouts off to the music that's playing during that bit of the sequence, because like it kind of creeps up on you, the music, but it just builds and builds and builds, and finally when he has like that big crescendo and like the music swells, it's really freaking good.
Yeah, and the way like when he says I'm angry at myself, the fire like shoots up.
So if you want to talk about fiery explosions, we need to talk about what.
Yeah, we need to talk about Team Avatar versus a Terminator. I was like, what the hell is this guy?
So, Jared, you're seeing a new form of bending. This is a sub-bending, a fire bending called combustion bending.
Of course. Of course.
He can make stuff blow up with his mind.
Yeah. That's kind of what it's so basically, and you should probably title the episode this, hint, hint. This is Team Avatar versus Professor X.
Possibly. Well, maybe, probably not, but
Yeah.
But
yeah, when I was watching this, and I'm like, yeah, they have to get out of here because this guy's way too powerful.
I mean, obviously the focus of the episode was the Zuko stuff, but I don't mind the Aang stuff. Like the Aang stuff was more like, hey, we need action in here, or else they're gonna turn off. Like, and I gotta say, the action was pretty good. Like some of the shots of like Aang using the airbending,
pretty good. It was awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The way he like makes rock armor, the way like all the effects of the multiple explosions, the way he catches that explosive ball in the air and like pushes himself away. I was like, oh, that's dope.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then like, do you like that kind of like pillar rock kind of like?
I do. Yeah, that was really cool.
There's a very similar one you will see towards the end of the season. I'm not saying anything else, but
By the way, Nick, did you know that when coming up with the idea of this episode, the creatives used the movie Breakfast Club as reference?
Yeah, I was actually going to mention this earlier, but like the fire scene is very much a scene inspired by the Breakfast Club. Like that is straight out of the movie. What other trivia do you have for
the original swimsuit designs applied to Azula, Mai, and Ty Lee by series creator Brian Coney Zeko stirred controversy in Nickelodeon Standards and Practices division, which said they were too sexy for Nick. Well, this is interesting. At an early point in the production, had to be redrawn. Nick, were they too sexy for you?
Well, the thing you got to remember is these are like 13 and 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
If they were like 20-year-olds, then we could probably get away with it. But like 14-year-olds, like
the torch behind Azula burns blue when she scares Chan because she has blue fire.
Yeah.
This is the only episode in which Ty Lee is seen crying.
Interesting.
And the knocker on the door of Chan's house is in the shape of a lion turtle's head.
Oh, we shall see a lion turtle. Trust me, my friend.
These animal combinations, and I'm like, oh, sure. When Zuko takes off his shirt to play Kwai ball or volleyball, several blushing girls start giggling over him. The exaggerated attractiveness of both Zuko and Ty Lee is typically known as fan service, a common facet of anime.
Well, that's a very clinical way of putting it, but like seriously, do you see those the abs on Zuko? Like, dear God, like like if a girl didn't blush, like come on.
Why couldn't we get the beach scene in the movie?
They never got to the third one.
Oh yeah, that's true. But they could have just well, let's be honest. With the amount of tender loving care that M. Night was clearly showing to this franchise, don't you think you should have put it in? Sarcasm, by the way. Yeah, I know he's.
Whoa.
Yeah, just to be clear, I was being sarcastic on that.
So this is what I think of Jared's ideas.
Crap, mega crap.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, overall, yeah, the action animation of this was solid.
So what do you give this? What do you give this?
Okay. In terms of animation, 10 out of 10. In terms of story, because it's overly tropey, a 7 out of 10.
Overall, what do you give it?
7 out of 10.
For me, I give it an overall score of 9, just because like I love the character development, I love the insights. Also I don't mind the fan service, so I'm a little more lenient, but you know that's why we do this stuff. You know, we have our different opinions, even if Jared's wrong. But I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Jared,
be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this, and let us know your favorite part from this episode.
Yeah, so like overall, what did you think of this? Like the episode, just kind of like your, you know, overall with all.
It was tropey, but still enjoyable. That's what I'm gonna overall say about the episode. A little too tropey with the whole breaking up and getting back together stuff, and I'm just like, okay, this is getting annoying. They're invited to a party. I sure hope drama isn't gonna happen at the party. Oh, you don't understand me. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, I'll admit it is very tropey, but I think they do well at those tropes. So, thank you, Jared. Thank you for sharing your wrong opinions with us. This has been Nick from the Phoenix Press. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones to walk through it.